Zaman is the highest-read newspaper in Turkey, and recently it has been seized by the Turkish government. The takeover was motivated by the newspaper's ties to the Hizmet movement of Turkish cleric Fethullah Gulen, which the government accuses of attempting to establish a parallel state in Turkey, and prosecutors accuse Zaman and its affiliates of praising and helping what they called a terrorist organization. Zaman is owned by exiled Muslim cleric Fethullah Gulen, and he is a political enemy of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Early in March of this year, a government-controlled court appointed trustees to take over the newspaper, and the editor-in-chief of the newspaper was fired. The Zaman Media Group's offices were raided late on Friday the 4th of March, breaking through a gate and storming the building before dragging out many of the journalists inside. There was huge nationwide outrage at this blatant violation of human rights, and the following day, approximately 500 civilians gathered outside the editorial offices of Zaman as part of a peaceful protest. As the crowd continued to grow into the thousands, riot police were called to remove the demonstrators, and what was originally a non-violent scene turned violent. Police used tear gas, rubber bullets, and water cannons against protesters and set up barricades to keep people out. Many were injured, and this picture of an injured woman due to the police brutality went viral. By Sunday, the newspaper under new management was already noticeably different, and there was an evident shift in tone regarding the Turkish government. The paper had dropped its criticisms of the government and instead published flattering stories of the president. The front page included a story about Erdogan's planned reception to mark International Women's Day and his visit to the site of a bridge being built across Istanbul's Bosphorus Strait. Rights groups and European officials have criticised the takeover, saying it's infringed on press freedom in Turkey. My focus media item used is the front cover of the Zaman newspaper, which was somehow managed to be published under the old management on Saturday the 5th of March, the day after the decision that the newspaper was to be taken over was announced. The editors of the newspaper expressed one last protest with its confronting front cover. It reads, "Anayas askida," in English meaning, the Constitution has been suspended. The white bold letters produce a powerful contrast against the completely black background. Impossible for a reader to ignore the message. The subheading reads, "Yesterday marked one of the darkest days in the history of Turkish press." The English version of the newspaper echoed the outrage of the takeover, with the front page reading, "Shameful day for free press in Turkey." Gene Sharp is a professor of political science and one of the most prominent theoreticians of nonviolent action. His work has been extremely influential in this theory, and his book, The Politics of Nonviolent Action, is widely considered the most influential work regarding nonviolent action. Conversion involves a change of heart in the opponent, to the point where the goals of the protesters are now her or his own. At the other extreme, in coercion, the opponent has had no change of heart or mind, but accepts the demands of the protesters because they feel there is no choice. In the process of accommodation, the opponent resolves to grant the demands of the non-violent actionists without having changed his mind fundamentally about the issues involved. Some other factor has come to be considered more important than the issue at stake in the conflict, and the opponent is therefore willing to yield on the issue rather than to risk or to experience some other condition or a worse result. Saturday, March 4's edition of Zaman and the peaceful protests that followed embody the theory of nonviolence and nonviolent action. I will be exploring these notions further through Kurt Schock's article, Nonviolent Action and Its Misconceptions, Insights for Social Scientists, while simultaneously examining the importance of nonviolence in democratic peace through Ralph Summey's Democracy and Self-Violence.